Good morning, class. Let's start with the warm-up. Here's a question for you. Have you ever been taught something irrelevant to your life in English class? What does irrelevant mean? That's right. It means something not helpful or useless. What do you think? Have you ever been taught something irrelevant to your life in English class? Or any language class? For example, when I started learning Spanish, I really wanted to learn how to greet people, how to order food in a restaurant, how to buy food in a market. But what we learned was boy, girl, eat, run, write. Everyone, please take out your notebooks and a pen and let's free write on this for 5 minutes, just to get the juices flowing. Today, we're going to read a few paragraphs from a story from the book called Me Talk Pretty One Day. It's a funny story about a native English speaker. He goes to France and takes a French class. We're going to make some predictions about what happens next in the story. One thing that happens in the story is he gets frustrated with his teacher, his French teacher, who teaches him things that he feels are irrelevant to his life. Lots of other things happen too. We're going to read the first part together and make predictions about what will happen later in the story. Who can tell me what a prediction is? That's right, it's a guess about the past. And what tense do we use? Right. Simple past. So, Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris, who is an essayist. By the way, this story is from this book called Me Talk Pretty One Day. You can find a copy of it in our classroom library, along with other books by David Sedaris. He writes true stories about his life, which are called essays, so we call him an essayist. Keep in mind that this is going to be your homework tonight to read the rest of this story. And by the end of the week, we will all write essays about our own lives. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot of exercises to break down the writing process and make it more manageable. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Assumptions versus predictions. So we said that predictions are guesses about the past. So what's an assumption? That's right, it's a guess about the future. And what tenses do we use? Yeah, it's tricky because there's two tenses actually. Simple past, yep, and present perfect progressive. You all know that I love charts, so here's a chart summarizing. An assumption is a guess about the past. The tenses are simple past and present perfect progressive. The verb is to make an assumption or to assume. A prediction is a guess about the future. The tense is simple future, and the verb is to make a prediction or to assume. As humans, we make assumptions and predictions every day about our world and what other people may do and what we may do. So it's helpful to be able to explain those assumptions and predictions. Here's a picture of a girl. She looks like she's jumping for joy, but I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but I can guess about what happened and I can guess about what's going to happen next. I assume that the girl got an A on her math test. I predict that she's going to go home and tell her parents about her excellent grade. Now you try. Please come up to the board and write an assumption and a prediction about this image. Okay, so these are some good ones. I assume that the wood of the bridge is weak. I predict that when she lands, she will fall through. I assume that she's practicing her gymnastics. I predict that she will make the team. I assume that she heard good news, and I predict that she will have a happy life. Very sweet. Great work. Let's do one more. What are some assumptions and predictions you could make about Brienne from Game of Thrones from this picture? Each of you, please take out your notebook and pen and write one prediction and one assumption, and then give it to your partner to proofread. I know a lot of you have already seen season 4, so you might already know what happened. And if you don't watch the show, just make something up. Does anyone want to come up to the board and write down their assumption and prediction about Brienne? Thanks, Joaquin. I appreciate that. So Joaquin wrote, I assume that Brienne is protecting Ariel from the mountain. I predict that Brienne will win the duel against the mountain. Nice example. And what tenses did Joaquin use here? That's right. He used present perfect progressive for the assumption, and he used simple future for the prediction. Now let's read the first 2 paragraphs of Me Talk Pretty One Day. Maria, would you like to start? Thanks.